Welcome to the Weaponized Marriage Podcast. Today's topic is, Ryan, hear it?
No, we're going to talk about intentional time.
Intentional time, making intentional time in your relationship. So you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I mean, I think you introduced that first, and I thought it sounded pretty lame, but then when you explained it,
Thanks.
It made more sense. And I think it came up, I think, a question that I find, so I interact with a lot of people in a week, with my patient base and friends and whatnot. And I think that when I see that there's a married couple and they're not on the best terms, or they're just on default mode, and you could just tell things are not like happening. A question that I like to ask is like, hey, when's the last time that both of you either just had a date night together, just the two of you, or when's the last time you took just a vacation, just the two of you? And especially for parents that have younger kids, let's call them kids under the age of 12.
You're in the weeds.
It's shocking to me that it's actually very, very few.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I think it's like a really, really critical component of staying very connected to your spouse is having time together that is not like default mode life. Like it's not like a trip where you're with the kids, and it's not like, hey, we just put the kids to bed and we're on the couch together at the end of the day, like decompressing. Like, I think those little micro moments are critical. Like, having, a time where you have like an extended hug, or you have like a great kiss, or you just make time to cuddle on the couch, or
talk to each other and, decompress and just express, how the day went, how you're feeling. Those are all like super, super important. But I think that it's really easy because it costs money, and you have to make the time and have the intention to really make it happen, to do even a date night, or especially a vacation, like a couple's vacation together. And I think that this is something that Kendra and I like really look forward to. It's something that like sometimes, especially when we're like maybe not getting along for a period of time, it's like, oh, fuck it, let's just cancel the vacation. Like, I think it's very easy to like say like, let's not do this. It's because it's hard. Like, it's hard to take time and go. Well, I also think too is that, like, let me interject there, is that there was a period of time where when like the thought of taking a vacation, especially like as business owners,
oh yeah, that's a whole other
element. Like actually made me more stressed than it gave me more relief.
Yeah.
And there was also a time in our marriage where I didn't look forward to vacations with you because there was, I know, going to be additional pressure of like, hey, we're on vacation, so like we should be having sex multiple times a day, or whatever these expectations that you had. You're like, okay, you should be this relaxed that you're wanting to do this. And I think that those are a thing of the past, but I think that I just want to presence it because there were a period of time where the thought of a vacation to me actually was holding up a mirror to me of the status of our relationship. And now that's no longer the case. I feel like we've actually become like almost like expert level at vacations. Like, I just today did the final step on every single part of our Italy-Croatia adventure.
We've realized that like having somebody plan the adventure for you is actually really cool.
Yes.
Like
and
having a travel agent,
yeah,
or somebody
100%.
Somebody boots on the ground who's like, let me set all this up for you. And
yeah, but there's still things you need to set up. But like, I looked at like part of our trip today that I was like, okay, there's only one leg left that I don't have a planned what's called transfer, like ride. And when you go to Europe, listen, you need that shit done for you because it's very hard to wing it when you're in a foreign country and you also don't speak their language. So I was thinking about it. I went through like our itinerary, and some of our itinerary was added on to our original trip. So I needed to like make some finalized details. And I was thinking about it today. I was like,
there's so many moving parts in this, but I feel like because I got support from it for it, and we planned it out and we like really communicated about this trip. This is our 15th anniversary trip a year later.
Yeah, so this is a little extra special, right?
So it's extra special.
So
right?
we're going to spend a little more money on this one, but but when like doing a vacation, just the two of you, it doesn't have to be like
a week,
a $10,000 or $20,000 vacation.
Yeah,
it doesn't even have to be a week. It could be a long weekend. It could be like, hey,
we're a day.
We're going to drive like 2 hours to this, like, you know, we've done trips to like, you know, remember we rented like a mini treehouse, like, you know, mini cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
Getaways.
Yeah.
Like we've rented like bed and breakfasts
but I want to tell a story here because I think it's really like,
okay.
Like,
is it
relevant?
Is it relevant?
Yeah.
Here we go.
I don't know. You tell me once I tell you. So I was having this conversation with one of my girlfriends, and one of the things that we have really manifested, I feel like this last year, that like from last year to this year has been drastically different for me and for us, is we've started to attract and hang out on a consistent basis. And not even hang out, communicate on a regular basis with several other couples. Some of them are married, some of them are newer in their relationship, all of them at different stages, all of them very different dynamics, you know, like some second marriages, some, you know, like recently divorced. And one of the things that stood out was a conversation I had with two of my girlfriends, and they'll probably listen to this and they'll know exactly who I'm talking about. But like it just, when we were talking about our topic today, I was like, this stood out to me so much. And one of the things that one of my girlfriends was saying, so this is her second marriage, and she was explaining like the dynamic of her kids, because she had kids in her previous relationship and her now husband also does too. But they had a huge age gap. And one of the things that she was saying is that when they first got together, that she would literally wake up like it was Christmas morning to go on a date with her husband. And she's like, what's crazy is that like I still get so friggin' excited. And
do you get excited to go on dates with me?
And I do, especially when they're intentional.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that like, this is the story, the part of the story I want to tell, like that really hit me, like that landed on me so like in my heart so much, because I was like, what a special way to describe your relationship. And they have an unbelievable relationship, but they have a very non-traditional.
We're on our second marriage too. That's fine.
Yeah. But we're married to the same person. She's not married to the same person, thankfully. So, but like one of the things that was crazy is when she said this, she shared this story about how this past weekend, so we're catching up this past weekend, which was 4th of July. And she was sharing about how she hadn't seen her husband in a while and she wanted to like just have time to connect with him. However, it was 4th of July and he loves 4th of July, as do I. And she was saying how like he was really excited about going to these like fireworks, and she was the complete opposite. She was like, oh my God, the last thing I want to do is be around a bunch of like crazy chaos and like sit there and look up at the sky and watch fireworks. Like she was completely on the opposite end of the spectrum. And so she is very good at communicating to him like where she's at. And she said to him, I just really want to spend time one-on-one with you. I don't want to involve like all these like random people. And I just want that quality time with you. And he totally honored her wish. But she could tell that he was really disappointed that he was going to miss his fireworks. So she intentionally looked up the place that they got married and saw if they had a hotel room available. And which is like this hotel that they got married at is very, very fancy. And like this is a very big weekend because they had their own fireworks. And there was one room left at this hotel. And she just like booked it. She just intentionally did it. And what ended up happening is they had their night together where they were able to connect. And the weather was horrible, I guess, because we weren't here. So they canceled all of the fireworks.
It was horrible because we weren't here?
No. Like we weren't here, so we didn't know that this happened. But basically in Boston, the weather completely washed out a lot of the fireworks. So they got their time to connect together, which is what she wanted. They did not they did not miss the fireworks because they were canceled, including at the hotel they booked. They were doing them the next day. So the next day was nicer. They got to a front row seat to this world-class hotel's ocean view, like fireworks in the last room in the hotel. And they invited all of their family to come watch the fireworks after they had dinner alone together.
So everybody lived happily ever after.
So my point is that like she just took such initiative in, number one, awareness of how important it was to her husband that there was fireworks. And she just created this magical moment. She was like, I'm just coming off this high of this magical moment. And this was after she told me about how like a date night with him is like, feels like Christmas morning to her. And
that's cute.
And I just was like, it was so like, it just like made me think about like how special that is. And about how like sometimes the awareness of like what's important to your significant other, and then your intention behind it. Like not every date has to be a hotel visit with fireworks, right? You can find simple things. And it made me think about, and I shared this back to her, is that like even last week we had an opportunity where like we had my aunt take care of Lily, so we didn't have to pay for childcare. She offered to let us go out. We didn't have a plan. And we had her come get her early. And instead of going out to dinner, because that like just sounded so, we couldn't figure out where we wanted to go. Like,
no, that wasn't it. I just didn't want to go for dinner. I just wanted to.
And we don't love to go out to dinner unless it's going to be like a rocking, we know 100% worth of dinner. Because we like to eat clean, and lots of times eating at restaurants doesn't include like make that happen for us. So we stayed home, we made a dinner together, and then we went and watched our friend who is a musician do like, we'd never seen him live, and he like just crushed it. And we had so much fucking fun at this really intentional, but not our traditional date night.
Yeah.
And it just made me just think about it as like, it doesn't have to be the vacation. It can be these everyday moments. If you take the time to like really think about like, what is important to you? What is important to your spouse? How can you meet like both people's expectations and set an intention on creating some magic moment with just a little bit of extra effort, other than like, I made a reservation at this restaurant and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, the date night doesn't have to be extravagant, but yeah, when you put some thought and effort into it, then it can be special. And I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's all about being intentional and not being in default, right? Yeah. And then I think, like I said before,
but you thought it was stupid when I said this as a topic, but now you're warmed up to it.
No. Well, once you explained a little bit more, I'm like, yeah, I think it's really important. In the context of, like I said, just like both parties taking some ownership in being intentional about, not necessarily meeting the other person's needs, but like being intentional about the time you spend together, because I think it's really easy to just get stuck in default. Like I said, like, hey, we're just going to do whatever is on the kids' schedule, and we're just going to like, stay home to save money. We're going to, do whatever, the kids have scheduled this weekend, and maybe we'll go out as a family. Like, that's all great. I mean, family time's important, doing stuff is important, but I'm, like I said, I'm always just I'm not surprised anymore, but I think it just has bubbled up so much for me that one of the things that people lose the importance of is being intentional of scheduling date nights, of scheduling vacation time, just the two of you, or even just scheduling like, hey, this is like once a week where we meet and we just have like coffee and we just talk about,
or like for us, the podcast.
It's
like been a huge thing where like we've had consistency of like, we get to talk about things that actually matter. Like,
well, this
on
is like
platform.
Therapy for us.
Yeah. And then I was like, the other thing is like, we're consistent with our therapy, like regardless of where we are in our relationship. And I was thinking about this on our last call with Steven, our therapist. He had said to us, he was just like applauding some of the growth that he's seen us have, I think, as a couple and as individuals. And which I mean, like, dude, who doesn't want a therapist that's like cheering for you? Like, he's not like, he loves doing sessions with us, but he also like,
well, I think it's because we're not like always in crisis anymore.
Yeah, we're not, I mean, we were never always in crisis when we started with him.
No, but we were
more frequently, but not it. But I think it's really cool because like he's become a person that's like, we know we have people on our team that want us to win, just like we want to have our friends and like family to have like great relationships. And so we only surround ourselves with people. And you know what? That brings me to something else I want to bring up, because when we were with our friends over the 4th, I remembered you brought up, this is a thing that like I know I've always said and you've always said. And what did you say? You're the sum of the 5 people you do what?
You do life with.
You spend the most time with,
yes.
Right? Like, it's like as cliche as it is. And it made me, you bringing that up reminded me of like that basic tenet, right? Like that we forget that like who we surround ourselves with is who we become. And I feel like we have made a major upgrade to that in the last year. We have always had a few couples we've always been inspired by, look up to, have access to, but we don't get to spend a lot of time with them. But now we're trying to even be more intentional with that. And I think that it's like,
and it's intentional. Again, it's intentional.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lesson in what I had said before that like, don't wait until you're in crisis to start to take a date night. Don't wait till you're in crisis to be like, holy shit, we haven't just gone on vacation, the 2 of us, for over a decade.
Yeah.
We have to wait till our 20th anniversary to like do a nice vacation. Hold on. And this is the other reason that we do therapy as like maintenance, because we don't do therapy because we don't wait to talk to Steven until like we hit rock bottom or we hit crisis. We've just realized it's like, wow, like when and it's the same thing with your body. It's the same thing with anything in life. When you're intentional about your decision-making, when it comes to like your body, your being, your balance, your business, like you see momentum and growth, and it's not just maintenance, it's actually improvement over time. And you're not just waiting for like shit to hit the fan and be like, oh shit, now it's time for me to pay attention to my kids because, I don't think that they're very disciplined and they hate my guts or whatever.
And I think this is a huge thing that like, I think really important that's been coming up for me lately is like, there's a difference between rhythms and routines. And like for me, okay, I'm a person who absolutely like, I struggle with routine. Like it is mundane to me. It is boring. I know the necessity of many routines, but it's something that I will try to avoid rather than move towards. And if that's me being honest with myself.
That's a story.
Okay. Well, also too, Ryan is the complete opposite.
But you need to change your story.
Hold on. Let me get to it. I'm not done yet.
Okay.
He thrives on routine. He actually gets really grumpy when he's out of his routine.
No, I don't get really grumpy, but I get when I'm out of rhythm. Yeah, I'm off balance.
Okay, but there's a difference between, to me. Here's the other part of the story. Mm-hmm. I have reframed and redefined that rhythm and routine are different things. Mm-hmm. Because routine I avoid, rhythms I like. Okay. Because rhythm to me, first of all, the reframe I have chosen is rhythm actually feels more natural to me. Routine typically feels like something I have to learn how to do. Mm-hmm. And rhythms are more something that I tend to be and enjoy. Mm-hmm. So I want to move towards them because routines, like I said, have more typically pain associated because they are more challenging for me. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference between rhythm and routine now for me. And so like back to the marriage therapy is a perfect example is like, we meet with Steven every other week or once a month at this point. We've graduated and it doesn't matter what place we're in. If we're in a really shitty place and he's going to listen to us hammer it out, or if he's going to listen to us share the gratitude we have for each other and for him. And for like the growth we've seen in each other, where we're in a really good place. So the light and the dark, he gets to see both, sometimes in the same call, right? And one of the things I think that is really powerful is that it's a rhythm for us. It's a rhythm that, oh, when do we have Stephen this month? It might not be routine where it's the third Tuesday of every month at 4:00. There's times when we need to change it. But
yeah, I like that. And then just to like wrap on the other side of that, like I thrive in routines, but the vulnerability of that is like when I'm out of routine, then I'm off center. And I, like you said, I get grumpy. So,
yeah.
But the thing is, I've gotten so much better about that because I realized it's like, well, notice like even my morning routine, I've got much, much more relaxed with it because I realized I was like, I'm becoming dependent on these like routines. And if I don't do these things routinely, then I get fucked up. And that just proves to me, it's like, well, I become dependent on this like stimulus and routine that I have. Like when I get off center, then it bothers me. So I become less bothered and become more flexible. So I guess you could say that I've developed more rhythmic, I guess, more rhythm in my behaviors than routine as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But from an opposite perspective of you.
Yeah. But I just think it's like, it's basics. What's that book that we both really like? The Pleasure Trap, right? It's like The Pleasure Trap. Awesome book. But like one of the things, like premises of the Pleasure Trap or premises of psychology in general is like people will move away from pain and towards pleasure. Like that is
conserve energy,
which means like by default, our neurological makeup and chemistry wants us to basically be fucking lazy. It wants us to take the least amount of time to get the most pleasurable result. And I think that like really looking at yourself as like, hey, where are some of the things, like some of the even rhythms I want to be in that I tend to like move towards, and what are some of the things that I tend to avoid, and how do I reframe it so that I start to know the value of both?
Well, you have to be again intentional about it.
It all comes down to that. And it's like intention is seriously everything.
Well, and that's why when you're living in default, like if you're going to just become default to the day, right? Whether it's like, well, you do what you have to do. So I have to wake up and go to work. I have to feed myself. I have to
drive
sleep.
My kids. I have to do all of these things.
And if you're just stuck in have-tos all day, then you're ignoring the fact that you have to become intentional about, I guess, your hardwired physiology that, in evolutionary, I guess, perspectives, like, yes, there are things out there like Dunkin' Donuts and packaged foods and fast foods that are hyper palatable, tasty, and satiating. It's like you have to be intentional of like deciding not to eat those things and eating something that is much more nourishing. You have to be intentional about like, well, I've engineered activity out of my day for the most part because all I do is sit at work, sit in my car, sit on my kitchen table, and then sit on the couch and then lay in bed. It's like, well, I have to be intentional about structuring an hour where I go move my body. It's the same thing as like, it's very easy to be in default in your marriage because it's like, well, we're married because we got married and we say it exists. And, we have like, we file taxes together and we have children.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, you have to be intentional about recreating your marriage every day and deciding like, well, what are some things that are going to continue to not just maintain our like attraction, appreciation, and like love for each other. It's like, well, how can we continue to grow this thing?
Yeah. Or like our intention this year is to have more fun together.
Yeah.
Which I think like we've definitely had some setbacks this year, or like some, I don't want to even say setbacks. I want to say delays. Like such as like your broken leg and like a couple other things. Like a lot of my mom's health right now has been challenging for me, but it's like we come back at the end of the day and we're like, hey, like, what was our intention this year? And like, it was to have more fun. And I feel like you and I have really, I feel like we're succeeding at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
Because we had an intention.
Well, and we have fun scheduled stuff. Like it's our anniversary and your birthday next week. And, we have some fun scheduled for that weekend.
Yeah.
Then we have some fun scheduled in August. And, our cabin has become a place that's been really relaxing and fun.
Yeah. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be a cabin. It doesn't have to be a vacation. Like, it's like, what are the things that you can do every day? Like, one of the things that I'm really enjoying lately is like, we're at this point where we're getting to like sometimes work out together again. Now, we don't do the same thing. Like, we're on opposite sides of the gym, but like, if I have a question, I'll go over to ask Ryan, and or like, if he like needs a spot, he'll come over and be like, hey, I'm going to push myself on this. And it's kind of fun to be like, you can do another one, like, it's kind of fun to be like, what if I, if
I need
whatever cue.
What do you think of my ass in these tights? I think my ass needs to be a little lifted up.
I legit did walk over to him yesterday, and I was like, this part of my ass is really like looking a little bit loose. I was like, how do I tighten this up or something like this? And he was like, what are you actually talking about? And I was like, well, I'm glad you're here so I could ask you that question.
Anyways, you can be intentional about keeping your ass firm.
Yeah. Lifted. And what was your response when I said that?
I don't know. I think ask your trainer. I don't know.
I said you said I said
your ass looks great.
You said how many times you work in your legs?
And I mean, like, how often you work in your glutes? You're like, I think I need to add a third glute day. I'm like, oh my God. Every day's glute day.
No, and then what did you say?
I said, if your ass isn't fucked up after 2 glute days a week, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, that's great advice. Thank you. Bye. And but it was like kind of funny, but like just like banter in the gym, like, and like that's something that we used to do together. Like, we did almost every workout together our first 5 years of our marriage.
Well, I think that it's important to be intentional about things you do together. Like, I think like, I've studied successful marriages, and I think that like being intentional about like daily micro connections, I think being intentional about weekly, like separate, just the two of you away from kids and life and just date night. I think you need like quarterly or like every 6 months or whatever to have a vacation together where it's time away, where you can connect and be fancy free. And I think that a lot of successful couples, they find things that they do together. Right. So whether that's like I know couples that they golf together. I know couples that go shooting together. I know couples that they, they find like some sort of activity that they both really enjoy and they do with one another and they do with friends too.
Yeah.
But then again, it brings me to another side of it where it's important to have your own thing as well. Like, you have horseback riding, you have the barn, like, I don't know what I have, but
well, you have like fishing and like you like being
but
down.
How often do I go fishing?
I know. Well, now you stand down on the dock, but you want to get like a fishing boat and stuff like that. You want to get back into that rhythm, but you still have things that like for example, you'll come to the barn with me. Like you came and watched me ride the other day, and like that was really fun. Like, it was kind of like it was special to me. And then, but it's like I sure as hell don't anticipate you coming like often, because that's my thing. Like, that's my space, right? And it's like I'll go fishing with you. You've gone fishing, like we've gone out fishing many places all over the world together, and I actually really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Would I ever go sit on a dock by myself and just be like, I'm gonna bait a hook and throw this line in and see what happens and sit here in peace and quiet for hours until I maybe get something? I would not do that by myself, just like you would not go to the barn by yourself. But it's like we can enter each other's world. We can, like, just like I was saying with like my friend that knows her husband loves the friggin' fireworks, even though she's like, they're stupid. like that. She can totally respect that.
Could do without fireworks,
right? Like, it's like that's because you and her are like the same person, and and her husband are the same person.
Plus, like any dog I've ever had has hated fireworks. I'm like, yeah.
Oh my God. I'm not even going to tell you about some of the stories of horses I saw.
We don't have
even after this weekend. I don't want to get on that topic, but the perfect thing is just like respecting what is each other's passions, and then knowing when you guys can combine passions or combine time together that like can become intentional time well spent in your everyday lives, not just like, hey, here's what we're doing for date night. Here's what we're doing for vacation. Like, can you look for those little gems of a moment of like, hey, like, here's time. And like I have another girlfriend who she's in more recent relationship, and both of them are coming from, recent divorces, and like they're just having such a good time together. But like she was saying, he was here visiting and she like had to work, and he's like, that's fine, I'll keep myself busy. But she's like, it was amazing. He like brought me lunch, then he brought me a coffee, then he went to go work out, then he came back, then we had to eat lunch together. Like these little things that like are so special to them because they don't get a lot of time together, that they're going, like they're making sure that they get that like really like good time intentionally.
Yeah. So be intentional and then treat each other like it's your second marriage. That's the takeaway.
We should probably define that in closing, because like it sounds a little
I
weird.
just think you take each other for granted after a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to somebody today. I was like, she's like, oh, I divorced. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. I was like, oh yeah, how long did that last? She's like, 6 years. I was like, It's pretty much like the most common, like 6 years, 7 years.
Oh, meaning their marriage was
yes.
6 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I thought you meant like it was the best thing that ever happened for 6 years. And now
no, she's like, the best thing ever happened was I got rid of him. He's like, he was a jerk, but whatever. Anyways, I think the joke about treating your wife or treating your husband like it's your second marriage is, I think that after a while you live life together, and it's typically when you're younger, right? In your 20s, 30s, right? Yeah. Most people, and you go through like an evolution of learning about who you are, and also your spouse learning about who they are, and then
or not learning,
and you're becoming parents together in a lot of situations, and you're both going through different phases of like career, and I think that you just collide in so many ways, and you end up in resentfulness. And if you want to stay out of that, like this is one of the keys, is to be intentional. Right. And that's why I joke. It's like when you're in your second marriage, you've learned so much. And one of the lessons you learn is like, I got to be intentional about creating this marriage, creating this relationship with this person, and like make it special as much as I can.
Yeah. And it's so funny that just made me think of is like, I used to say, like when I would get mad at Ryan, or he would
treat me like your second wife. Yeah.
I would be like, treat me like your second wife. and it would like, it would jolt you like enough that you would like kind of like get yourself. And I'm going to tell one fun story in closing. So I had this older guy that I see every day at the gym come up to me, and we were just chatting. I think he was like, he's
this guy that likes your arms.
He was commenting on my pull-up. Yeah. And he was like, how many you up to now, or something like that. And we were just going back and forth. And he's like, why? I think he said, why, he's like, you work out so hard. Why you work out so hard? He's like, are you training for something? And I was like, which is a common question, I feel like.
You should have told him I'm training for the bedroom with my husband.
No, I did tell him. I said, have you seen my husband? and he it totally caught him off guard. And I'm kidding. This is proof that your phone listens to you. The next day, I kid you not, and I am happy to say I bought this as a birthday present to myself. A shirt popped up on my Instagram feed, and it said, I work out because my husband's hot, or something like that. And I bought it. I haven't got it yet, but I bought it. And then there was another one that I was like, oh my God, I have to have this shirt.
I get the same one. Like the Instagram ad that says I work out because my wife's a 10-piece or something like that.
But legit, like this, I'm not kidding you. I'm walking out of the gym, and this is like the Instagram ad.
That's scary.
And I was like, it's 100% because I just said that to this older guy.
Yeah. That's scary.
But like he just like died when I said that. I was like, have you seen my husband? And he's like, oh no, I don't think so. And I was like, well, that's why I'm training so hard, or something like that. And like, it was good. I was really, I thought it was funny. But yeah. You do. I have to keep up with you. And I know I'll never beat you anything. So other than, I think I beat you in bowling once.
Are you talking about physical activity?
Oh, well, just no competitiveness. There's no beating Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a strength and a weakness. And also the reason I don't CrossFit anymore is I just break myself in half. So anyways,
yeah.
So treat your wife, treat your husband like it's your second marriage.
Yeah.
And be intentional.
I think that's a good closing point.
Drop the mic.
Yeah.
All right, gang. We will see you guys next time.